Hi, I'm Scott Colson with Iron Innovations in Clinton, Mississippi. Today we're going to cover some drive gate installation and automation. The schedule of events in drive gates is naturally first would be the sale or the sales call. At that we determine several things. And what we do, we determine what type of installation it is, referring to UL 325 class. In those classes, class 1, you have 1 to 4 single homes. Class 2, 5 or more single homes. Class 3, limited access, no intended public access. And class 4, restricted access, no intended public access. This all refers to the UL 325 codes, which is a pedestrian safety code. We will get into that later. First, we determine a type of gate, whether the location depicts a slide gate, a swing gate, a uphill swing gate, and what type of slide gate, a V-groove slide, a cantilever slide. Whether it entails a master-slave situation, which is biparting 2 gates. We also, if it is an existing gate that we are going to automate, we determine if the gate is working properly. Was it installed properly? And is it hinged properly? Then we determine, in the new sale of a gate, we determine size. And in determining size, we also determine, relative to that, is the type of material. The size of gate determines also the type of material. We at Iron Innovations we recommend not to automate anything over a 16-foot single swing gate. And the reason for that is sag and other complications. We have done 18-foot gates, but they were out of aluminum. Is the backspace sufficient for the type of gate we're going to use? Backspace, if you were doing a cantilever, do we have enough room for the gate to fully open, including the cantilever part? V-track slide gate, if we have enough room for that gate to open and retract into a opening. Also, on a swing gate, do we get into any opening? Do we get into any UL 325 concerns as far as pinch effect? And also, we look at is the space behind the gate or beside the gate sufficient for the gate operator? That will determine what type of operator we use, and we will get into that later. Type of traffic. Type of traffic would be if it's a gated community, do you have 2 sets of gates? Do you have an entry lane and an exit lane? Or are two-way traffic in the same lane? Codes come into effect there. Locally in Mississippi, you have, and in the city of Jackson, for instance, you have codes from the fire department. That's something you need to check, that when you're speccing this with the local fire department, what kind of restrictions they have on lanes. Some restrictions would be, if you've got single traffic through a lane, like an entry and an exit, you could use, say, a minimum of a 14-foot gate. In other instances, if you're going into an apartment complex or a public entry, if you got two-way traffic, you got to have a 20-foot opening. So that's some consideration. Type of road surface, if it's gravel, asphalt, concrete, that will determine how you install that gate and what type safety and that sort of thing you have on your automation. How will operator mount? Will you mount it to a slab or an existing driveway, or will you mount it to a post? Will you mount it on a pedestal? Later we're going to show you some things that we use to mount actuator arm type operators. We're also going to show you a post installation. What is the distance for electrical? You got to determine if you can use solar or if you got to go with AC power. You got to determine distance. Is it 1,000 feet away? Do you need to install a meter base for a dedicated power source, or can you go back to the home, or can you go to the guardhouse, or how far it is, and what complications you're going to run into getting the power there, and your electrical requirements. If you're at an industrial site and all they have is 460 volt three-phase power, you're going to have to spec a operator to handle 460 three-phase power. If it's 115, you can get that most anywhere. I spoke earlier about electrical meter. Are you going to need electrical meter? Are you going to have dedicated electrical service out there, which would mean setting a meter base, which would require an electrician, which increases the cost of the job. Number of users. That is going users per day. That is it residents, employees, visitors, vendors. If it is residents at a single home, you need to figure out approximately how many cycles per day. That's figured in 24 hours per day. And you will rate your operator to how many cycles and what kind of service you need there. If it's an industrial or commercial site, you've got to figure how many employees will be in and out that day. That would figure, are you going to do card access, you're going to do proximity readers, you're going to do keypad, you're going to do transmitters. All this has to be taken into consideration because your equipment has to be rated to the amount of cycles per day. How are you going to get visitors in? How are you going to get vendors in? And then how are they going to get back out once you get them in? Are you going to audit them coming in and leaving? Or are you just going to audit them coming in? Okay, also we need to know how will the gate open for exit. Like I said earlier, we could audit a exit by having a keypad or card swipe or whatever on the inside and the outside, or we can do free exit. We probably do free exit more than anything. It's not quite as secure at an industrial or commercial location, but it is easy. Someone just pull up to the gate, they hit a loop that is in the pavement, and the gate opens, they drive through, the gate times out and closes behind them. Will there be emergency access devices? Yes, there are several. The most common is a firebox. It's a red box that has a padlock on it outside the gate. Fire department or emergency vehicle comes in, cuts the lock, opens the door, the gate, and that triggers a relay which opens the gate, and the gate remains open until that door is closed. Or you can do an SOS, a siren operated sensor. The ambulance or fire department or whatever pulls up, hits a yelp on their siren, and it reads that and it opens the gate. Or a click to open. A click to open is a device on the gate that is programmed to the frequencies of local law enforcement emergency vehicles. They come and they key their mic in their radio and it opens the gate. Knox lock is another device. A Knox lock is a device that we use a lot on telephone entries and this sort of thing, that local fire department or emergency vehicles are assigned a specific lock. We ordered the lock by getting permission from the fire department in that locale, and they send the lock, and then all their vehicles have a key to that lock, and that opens the gate. Will there be pedestrian gates required? Usually in a residential, you do not have pedestrian gates or walk-through gates, but at commercial or industrial locations, you have like a pedestrian gate. Now, some ASTM F2200 will not allow you to have a walk gate or pedestrian gate within X number of feet of that moving gate. You can also access the gate the same way as the main gate by tying it back into your controller or your controlling device that would audit going and coming of the pedestrian gate, whether it be mag lock, card swipe, proximity reader, keypad, whatever. Are UL 325 and ASTM F2200 standards being met? At Iron Innovations, we will not take on a job or build a gate or automate a gate without using these standards. It is a liability situation. Schedule of events on installing a drive gate is we get a call, a sales call, and a salesperson or myself goes on site and meets with the client. At that point, we come up with a design or somewhat of a design. After the salesperson or myself have gone through this checklist, and Iron Innovations has put together a checklist that I just went through to qualify the job. And this checklist is available by contacting the NOMMA office, and they will be glad to send you a copy of it. After we do a site visit and qualify the customer and the location, we come back and do a drawing. At that point, we get a bill of material from that drawing, and we do a quote. All jobs have a bill of material and a job number and a quote number. The salesperson goes back to the client with a price, the drawing, and some smelling salts, because they're going to faint. And what we do not do is we do not leave a copy of the drawing. The only time we leave a copy of the drawing is when it becomes a shop drawing, and when it becomes a shop drawing is after we have received our signed agreement back, the down payment, and a signed shop drawing of the job. And at that point, it comes back to the shop and goes into the schedule of the shop. Nothing at Iron Innovations gets scheduled until we have a signed shop drawing, a signed agreement, and that money for the down payment. At that point, it goes into schedule. And we give the customer a schedule of when we will be there to first set the post. We do not build any gates until posts are set for obvious reasons. Water lines, electrical lines, whatever, you may have to tweak that gate opening. Say you sold a 14-foot opening, you may have to move it to 14.6 or 15 even to make it work at the location. And we set the post, come back to, and my installers get the measurements. We come back to the office or the shop and build the gate. Once the gate's built, in the meantime, the automation equipment, because we've already qualified how we're going to install it, where we're going to put it, what type of automation and access the client wants, so we order that equipment. When the installer goes out to install the gate, he also, depending on what type of automation we have classified for this job, is he will go ahead and weld the mounts or set the mounts or the operator mounts and all that. So when the automation crew comes in, all they have to do is set the operator on the mounts, hook up the wiring, low voltage wiring, cut the loops, put the UL 325 safety codes in effect, and this sort of thing. So, and then once all that's done and we have given the homeowner their packet, which consists of keys to everything that takes a lock, a set of instructions, troubleshooting guide, and of course our phone number for any follow-up warranty work. And at that point is the greatest point of this whole process. We get that final check. While on site, we take digital pictures. Those digital pictures are put into the file of that customer. It really helps in the quoting situation because we know what we're dealing with on site. We also take a digital when the job is done, when we put on the safety signs. We take a digital picture because a lot of upper end residents and gated communities take those signs off because they're not very attractive. But we put that digital picture and dated a digital picture in the file of that customer, so we have proof that we did our part. Now we're going to move back to the shop and we're going to go through some types of gates, types of gate hardware for installing gates, and some post setting and some operator mount settings. This is your typical V-groove track gate. You have the ASTM F2200 standard as far as the screening. You have a 2-inch frame. This is punched channel here and here. The V-groove wheels would go on the bottom of this gate. Normally that's welded on site because of grade change. A lot of times you'll be going uphill a little bit or whatever, and the gate in the closed position needs to be level regardless of the grade. Another option is a cantilever type gate. The cantilever gate is the width of the opening plus 50% of that for the cantilever when it slides back. The hardware for cantilever can be one of two options: a neoprene roller configuration or an aluminum track gate. The aluminum track gate would attach thus or here, and you have a roller that goes in here that goes on the post. The rollers are on the post, the track is on the gate. Then you have the neoprene roller with the guards, and that would go on top. You would use this if you did not have pickets out the top. Also, ASTM F2200, you cannot have any pickets out the bottom of the gate. It has to be solid. And you cannot have any chain brackets or anything protruding out past the end of the gate, especially on the leading end, the end that goes toward the opening. In this case, if the opening was, this is a 16-foot V-groove gate. If you need more travel, you would come and put what we call a tail on here, which is an extension to accept the bracket or the chain. For instance, the operator would be sitting roughly right here. Bracket would go to that end and a bracket on this end. Well, if the operator is sitting here, you don't have enough here for it to retract back. So what you would do is you would extend this gate with what we call a tail to accept the chain. or the track. In a slide gate operator, you've got a chain drive, you've got a track drive, and you've got a pinion drive. What we use the most is the chain. In higher security situations, you would use a track because the track, the chain can be cut or disassembled or whatever to get into a location. On a track, you cannot do that. Now, all gates and all operators are supplied with a warning sign. The warning sign should go on the gate to be seen. And that's what I was talking earlier about, to take a picture of this when you install it, a digital, put it in their file, because if it falls off, gets lost, or the owner takes it off, it is a liability situation, and it covers you. Another, being a V-groove gate, you need a V-groove track. This is a V-groove roller. The V in the roller rides on the inverted channel on this track. This is a safety precaution. Again, going back to the safety codes, that protects anyone getting caught in this wheel. This is a track. This track is bolted down to a concrete drive. If you get into an asphalt situation or a dirt situation, what we do is we dig a post hole and we insert what we call a pedestal mount. We use this when we are installing the track, the V-groove track, in asphalt or on dirt. We would dig a hole and insert this part into the concrete. This part would be flush with the grade of the asphalt. Then we come back and we put the track on top of this and weld it down. We also use that out on the retracting side of a dirt location, also to keep the track level. This is what we call at Iron Innovations a core post. Core post is used when you have brick columns. For instance, this part of the post goes inside the brick column, and then the brick is laid in behind here. So you have double support. It goes in the footing of the brick foundation, and it supports the gate, or you hang the gate off of the larger post. We do something a little different here at Iron Innovations in that we weld this ear, we call it, ear all the way through. We cut a slot on the outside wall here, here, and here, and we insert this 1/2 by 6 plate all the way through and weld it at 4 locations. On the outside, we grind that down smooth because that's going to be visual. Both posts are a minimum 1/4 inch wall post. This is for stability with the gate hanging off of it. Here at Iron Innovations, we have a way of installing a post that makes it easier to plumb and level and to pour. A single post to hang a gate off of, we dig a square hole. Reason for that, if you get torque or something on that post, that gate, it will not spin on you. Also, we stake it at the bottom 4 ways. We weld it off and drive those stakes into the side of the hole. Twofold purpose. We can set this and leave and somebody else can pour it. Also, once it's poured, you have extra strength by this thing, by it being anchored off to the side of the hole. A concrete truck can come and pour this. The only thing you have to be careful about is don't let them pour directly on the post because it may knock it out of plumb. We go a minimum of 4 feet deep, 2 feet in diameter by square, and then square off. We've got a 2-foot auger that goes on a skid steer that we drill the initial hole with, and then we come back and we square it. This is an operator mount that we came up with rather than having to pour a slab to mount a box type operator with an articulating arm on it. We take this and dig a hole and set it up on the proper geometry, if you note, and then concrete it. If you notice the cutout in the middle, that's to sweep up your low voltage and high voltage control wires. Next, we're going to talk about some structural integrity of swing gates. We fabricate swing gates regardless of size, style. On the hinge side of the gate, the swing side of the gate, we use a 3/16 wall tube. We use this, the reason for using this is that hinges sometimes can tear out of lighter material. The majority of the gates, the rest of the frame is 11 gauge, whether it be 2-inch, 3-inch, or whatever size you're using. We use a ball bearing type hinge that has a alemite or a grease fitting in it. When mounting these hinges, we go ahead in the shop and mount the part on the gate. When we get on site, we'll take this and put it together. We will zip tie it or strap it together to hold it together, put this part on the post. So when you come back and need to grease this hinge, you grease it from the bottom, and that has a tendency to pick that gate up a little bit, which lets you get grease in the alemite. Otherwise, if it was the other way, over a period of time, the stress is going to be downward and you're not able to put any grease in it. When we fabricate a gate 14 feet or above, we will usually put in an extra horizontal, that is more or less a stiffening. We do not use a diagonal brace. We think it takes away from the look of a gate, and if you build a gate properly, it is unnecessary. Some of these gates we're going to demonstrate for you were installed prior to 2000, which the UL 325 and ASTM F2200 was in effect. So these are more or less grandfathered in. You will not see the safety on some of these gates. Here we have a set of heavy gates that require, by the architect spec, a hidden type operator. What we have here is a hydraulic type linear operator that can handle a gate of this weight. This location is an uphill swing, which is an unusual type application. The grade change was so severe that we had to move the gates uphill. We shot this location with an instrument, and when those gates were opening without an uphill swing, they would have I think it was a 16 to 18 inch undersweep, and the owner did not want that look. This is a gate operator on a pedestal that we earlier talked about, and this is the control and high voltage pipes coming in or sweeping in under the operator. This operator is a 1 horsepower operator, and pulling those gates uphill has had so much torque on it that we anchored that off to the 6-inch post up front. As you can see, some of these installations can get a little complicated. I would suggest to get some technical support help and go to training schools and that all gate operator manufacturers offer. By using a uphill type hinge, which this is the bottom hinge, the way it is offset, as this gate opens, it opens uphill. it raises, it actually rises. And this helps the look, the aesthetics of the gate, being you don't have to have as much undersweep to clear the uphill grade. This is the upper hinge. As you can see, it is not set out on the post as far as the lower hinge, but it is not perpendicular or plumb with the post, but with the uphill grade. As you can see in this picture, the hinge is parallel with the road. The hinge is following the grade of the hill. This is a situation where a pedestrian is walking through the gate and your secondary entrapment device, which is a photo eye, kicks in and reverses the gates. In UL 325, you have a primary and secondary entrapment device. Primary being UL 325, primary being on the electronic board. If it bumps or hits something, it stops and reverses. Secondary being a photo eye, safety edge, or whatever. In this case, this pedestrian broke the photo eye coming in and the gate stopped and reversed. This is a typical two-lane community. You got an entry on this side and an exit on the other side. This is a single swing 16-foot gate. This shows the reversing sensor on the gate itself, tied back by a loop. As the car came forward, the gate was closing, the car came forward, got on the loop, the gate immediately reversed. This is a cantilever gate that is, it conforms to UL 325 and ASTM F2200. The screening is on the gate itself, plus the adjacent fence that it opens beside. You see your firebox out front, the red box, that's the firebox I talked about earlier. See down lower, you've got a photo eye that I talked about earlier. This particular location also has a photo eye on the back side for the opening. If it's opening and say someone gets or breaks the photo eye or gets in behind the gate, it will shut down, it will stop. It does not reverse, it stops. You got to reset the operator. This is a installation where we used a core post. You see the post that the gate is hung on outside the brick column. Joining me in the office here today is James Mentor with Imagine Ironworks in Brookhaven. James is going to ask some questions that are frequently asked about gate automation.
Scott, how do you set up your gates to handle any power outages?
We offer and sometimes spec into jobs battery backup. If the power is lost, the gate will open, stay open till power is restored, and it will close.
What if the police or the fire department needs to get into a home that has a closed gate?
We always have either a firebox, an SOS, a siren activated system, or other devices that will allow emergency access.
How quickly do you get to a gate to repair it if somebody were to drive into it?
We will respond to that location within 24 hours, depending on the location. If it is a high security, sometimes a few hours. And we are equipped, and I have personnel that can fix most gates to get them back going on site.
Can your gates be manually disengaged so that the homeowner could open them?
Yes, they can. That is part of of some of the safety codes is that you do have to have a manual disconnect.
Is there any maintenance that you recommend to a homeowner to be taken care of on a regular basis?
Yes, we cover that in the packet that we give them at the end of the job.
A lot of homeowners want just a basic system to operate their gates, and then once they're installed, they're dissatisfied with it. How easy is it to upgrade systems?
Very good question, James. We put in a system that is always upgradable. You can put in a basic system, what we call click in, click out, which is straight radio transmitters, and later come back and add loops, which is safety for the vehicle, free exit, and even telephone entry keypad. All of it is upgradable.